Alright, so slope-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b is the slope-intercept form of a line. M is the slope and the point 0b is the y-intercept. Whenever you have an equation solved for y, you can use this format. By identifying the slope, identifying the y-intercept. We talked about the slope last week. It, defines how steep a line is, determines how steep a line is. There are 4 types of slopes: positive, negative, undefined, and zero. Okay? A zero slope, and I believe we had that on page 13 that talks about the 4 types of slopes. Okay? And how you read a line, or how you determine the slope. Okay, and I told you that when you're reading a line, how you read it from left to right. So as we're on page 13, as we look at this example of this blue line, we don't know exactly what the name of the line is, but you can tell that this is a line that is slanted to the right, is going positive. Okay, the higher the value of x, the higher y gets. Okay. Here we have a line that has a negative slope. It's getting smaller as we read it from left to right. Going to the right, it's getting smaller. As x increases, the y is going to decrease. The zero slope. Whenever we have a horizontal line, it has a zero slope. Okay? We are not rising, but we're running. We're going left to right. And then the last one, an undefined slope. Whenever you see a vertical line, it doesn't have an undefined slope. Yes, we're going up, down, but we're not going left to right. Okay? So, back to page 15, we have this equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. Y is equal to 2x plus 4. And you're asked to find the slope and y-intercept. The slope will always be that constant term next to the variable x. So for this equation, the slope is 2. And we will be using the slope to find the second, the third, the fourth points if needed. Okay, so when the slope is 2, but I want to write it as a fraction. How do we write any integer that's not written as a fraction as a fraction? 2 over 1. So we're going to rise 2, we're going to run 1. Then our y-intercept. It will always be an ordered pair. Remember, to find the y-intercept, we let x equal to 0. This last constant term, this plus 4, that is your y-intercept. So your point is 0, 4. Your y-intercept will be your starting point. And what I said last week, your y-intercept will always be a point on the y-axis. The y-intercept will always be a point on the y-axis. So, we have everything that we need. 2 points is all you need to make a line. We have the first point by the y-intercept. We're going to use the slope to find the second point. Okay? So, and I think I may not have enough space.
Both numbers to negative, right?
Both what numbers? Yes, we can. We can always switch both numbers to negative. And here's why. Because we know 2 negatives will give us a positive. Okay? I'm glad you said that. What would be another way to write 2 over 1 that's equal? We can say negative 2 over negative 1. And that point will still be on the line, because I can look and tell that I don't have enough space, but we can make a space. Okay? So, let me zoom in some. Can everyone see this, or I need to cut the light off? Okay. Alright. So our starting point will be a point on the y-axis at 0, 4. We're right here. That's our starting point. Find 0, 4 on the y-axis. Okay, from there, now we don't have a 6, it doesn't go out to 6, but we'll make this line right here a 6, okay? From there, initially, we're going to rise 2. That means we only can go up or down, and because 2 is positive, we're going to go up. Okay, from 0, 4, you count 1, 2, and then we're going to run 1. Because 1 is positive, we can only go left to right. We're going to go positive 1 to the right. So here's our second point. Now, we can go in the opposite direction. Okay, we can go negative 2 over negative 1. From 0, 4, we count down 2 spaces, and then we run to the left 1. We can keep going. Go down 2 spaces, go to the left 1. We can keep doing it that way. The slope is going to tell you how steep the line is. Now let me say this. The slope, this is 2. It's positive 2. You know the shape of a line with the positive slope. It's going to be, going this way. Okay? So 2 points is all you need. Let's say that we had number 6 over here. Well, here's my point, 1, 6. But if we want to go in the opposite direction, instead of going up and then to the right, up 2 and then to the right 2, we can go down 2 spaces and then over to the left. That's still a point on the line. We can keep going. 2 points is all we need. I'll keep saying that, okay? But if you want to find a third, fourth, fifth point, just keep using the slope. Go down 2, 1, 2 over 1. And keep going down 2, 1, 2 over 1 to the left, okay? But I definitely want you to identify the y-intercept, plot that point, label that point, and then find an additional point by the slope. Okay? So then, connect your points. Connect the points. There you go. That's your line. Okay? And look at it. It's a positive line. We already saw that's a positive slope. So you kind of, even before you graph it, you kind of have a visual as to how it should slant or not. Okay? All right, let's look at example B. We have 2x minus 4y is equal to 8. And we want to identify the slope and y-intercept. So to identify the slope and y-intercept, what we have to do is make sure we convert this equation into slope-intercept form, meaning we need to solve for y. Solve for y. And this is going back to the literal equations that we did, I guess, first week of class we talked about literal equations. So how we solve for y? Here's the equation. 2x minus 4y is equal to 8. And since we're solving for y, that's not the variable that we want to move first. We're going to bring over the 2x by subtracting 2x to both sides. And we have negative 4y is equal to negative 2x plus 8. You could write 8 minus 2x, but I want us to keep it in the same line of slope-intercept form where that mx is before that constant term. Okay? Then we're going to divide by negative 4. And let's divide it into each term. Instead of all at once, or, all over negative 4, let's divide the negative 4 into each term. And we have y is equal to negative 2x over negative 4. Well, can we reduce that?
Yeah, 1 over 2.
Yes. A negative divided by a negative is positive 2 over 4. We can say 1 over 2x. And then 8 divided by negative 4. Now, our equation is in slope-intercept form. Identify the slope. Identify the y-intercept. Our slope is 1 over 2. It's not 1 over 2x. I'm looking for the constant number, just the number only that's next to the variable x. So it's 1 over 2. Our y-intercept, that's going to be our starting point, where we always let x be 0. So our y-intercept is 0 comma what? Number. Negative 2. Now we have everything that we need. We have a starting point. We have a slope. The slope is going to help us find that second point. We have a slope that's 1 over 2. We're going to rise 1. We're going to run 2. But it's also positive. So you know exactly what your line is going to look like. Okay? So find 0, negative 2 on the y-intercept. Remember, your y-intercept, is on the y-axis. Here is 0, negative 2. Let's label that. From there, we're going to find our second point. We're going to rise 1, so count up 1 space, and then we're going to run 2 from there. 1, 2. Where's our second point? What is that ordered pair for me? Is that 2, negative 1? Okay, if you want to, from 2, negative 1, you want to find the third point. Go up 1 over 2 spaces. You have a third point. Okay. Because where's this point? Where does this point lie? We count over 1, 2 for x, and then for y we go down 1 space. This is the ordered pair. 2, positive 2, negative 1. Connect your point. Your 2 points. There's your line. Desi, you had a question?
Because you're that negative 1. Because you're in negative half now, that's why it'll be a negative.
Yes, in the fourth quadrant, all of your x's are positive and all of your y's are negative. So that's why the 2 is positive and this 1 is negative.